The sneaker industry looks as if it may, well, the resale portion of it looks as if it may be cooling down a little. Resale marketplaces like StockX and Goat.com are seeing a decline in sales despite the industry being worth over $6 billion globally. And this comes as investors and so-called sneakerheads reevaluate what sneaker culture could look like in the future. So for more on this, let's bring in Chad Jones. He's the co-founder of Another Lane, a sneaker marketplace. And we should also mention that Chad is the brother of our senior executive producer, Chloe Jones. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
You know, people should know, if they're unfamiliar with the sneaker market, we have done these crazy stories about like these exclusive sneakers that sell for, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars. And people had actually started to look at sneakers as an investment property. Almost, right?
Yeah, I mean, which is a little crazy because why I say it's crazy is because, Chad, you know, we've got these cool Air Jordans here, and Anne-Marie and I are sporting a pair of our Air Jordans. Yeah, but the fact is, okay, you might not be able to get those because they are some of the, look like the originals or close to the originals, right? But these, I just bought these a couple of weeks ago, brand spanking new. These are the new versions. This is my style, you know, and pay a lot of money for them. I don't expect that these are going to go up in value.
Well, you know, it's always a possibility that they can go up in value, to be honest. You know, depending on the actual numbers of a shoe made and, of course, how much people want a shoe.
Yeah.
You know, that dictates, you know, supply and demand, basic business, you know, 101. So, you know, it's really buy what you like, you know, this way you're not mad about the money that you spent, but there is that occasion where a pair that you bought can be worth thousands of dollars, and then it's up to you whether you want to wear that shoe and enjoy it for what it was actually made for, or, you know, maybe you have a little come up in life and go on vacation.
Rock it or stock it.
So it's cooling,
you say, right? Well, yeah, so that's what I want to talk about a little bit. You know, there were these great stories about these sneakers that go up in value and people resell them, but that's changing a little bit. And I'm wondering why you think that is. Is it sort of like, you know, that when people are concerned about the economy, these kind of more exotic, more fun investments, they don't look so attractive like NFTs, like sneakers?
Well, you know, there are two very different aspects of what you're discussing right now. And so the target demographic is Gen Z, and really they don't have a lot more discretionary income to be able to spend on these terms. And then also, there's a lot of layoffs going on. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world. So a lot of people live check to check, and sometimes that discretionary income is not designated for something as fun as sneakers. However, there is the upper echelon of the market where those sneakers are thriving more than ever. You know, some of those pairs, you know, are selling for millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And those are the pairs that are newsworthy. Those are the pairs that people talk about. But the overall, you know, when it comes to COVID and the way that the logistics and schedule and deliveries were just completely decimated. So limited shoes would show up and people would think that they were rare. So they would run out and they would try to buy these shoes. But now things are loosening up, you know, supplies, you know, there's a lot of different restocks that come at these stores again and again. And it's the same pairs of shoes that keep showing up. So people are starting to understand that, hey, this shoe isn't so limited. So I can wait and I can get this shoe on discount. And really that's killing the retailers and even the resellers.
But I always thought that, and you know, a couple of years ago, I was telling you I did an interview. I interviewed Jeff Pigeon, who was one of the early designers for Nike. Remember those Nikes that had like the pink soles on the bottom, right? And that was one sort of the first real understanding that there was a sneaker culture out there and that people were willing to wait in line for hours if need be and pay top dollar for them. But I always thought that the sneakerheads were people who really just like sneakers, not people who were necessarily trying to flip them or trying to invest in them. Describe your average sneakerhead.
So the average sneakerhead, I say anywhere from 5 to 15 pair of sneakers in their collection, and their price range for spending shoes maybe anywhere from $100 to $500 at a max.
And they love them. They love sneakers. It's not because they're thinking, I'm going to make some money off it.
That's correct. That's what the traditional sneakerhead was. But that word has evolved, you know, and so there are a lot more people coming into the fold, and they have very different reasons. There are some people who collect it because literally this is another medium for art,
right?
You know. And then there are people who just love to wear them or play in them. You know, these are basketball shoes at the end of the day, you know. But then there are the people who are solely in it for the value of the money that can be made over it. And that's where they become seen as in an asset class.
So what do you think is that a positive thing or a negative thing for sneaker culture? Because I know part of the reason you started Another Lane is because you thought, like, this conversation has become inaccessible now. It's not, you know, the sneakerheads that made this a cultural phenomenon are being priced out
the resale
of the conversation.
Resellers, we should say.
But do you think that maybe that's been sort of good for sneaker culture because we're talking about it on the news now because of that?
I personally think, yes, it is good for sneaker culture as a whole. Number one,
meaning the resale market.
These insanely priced sneakers.
These insanely priced things. Because one thing is this, right? Like we're talking about the upper echelon of these things.
These are people that don't worry about the recession coming. Right. They're always going to be rich.
And so when you see an article or something like that with some crazy thing, it brings a lot of newcomers to the fold. And you know, really, what I think of sneakers as an introductory point to a relationship. And so you get to meet people from all walks of life because of this pair of sneakers.
Right.
And so that simple pair of sneakers that was a couple of $100s could develop into a relationship that turns into hundreds of thousands of dollars, marriage, you know, all kinds of relationships that are out there. And so that's why I believe that, you know, it's a good thing.
I take it your wife is into sneakers?
My wife is into sneakers.
When you said marriage, I'm like, that's a very specific reference.
Very specific.
Yes.
And Chad, real quick, I mean, when Nike first said, I mean, and there had already been endorsements before, right? Adidas had Stan Smith and of course your OG Chuck Taylors, right? But when Nike decided to make Michael Jordan the brand ambassador for these Air Jordans, that completely changed the game. So, and ever since then, there have been others. LeBron, everybody's got a sneaker line. Where should we be looking next? The future.
Well, I mean, Nike is still, you know, in the forefront of everything, but there are a lot of smaller brands, luxury style brands. Now that resale people are getting used to paying $400 and $500 for a pair of shoes. Now you can look at luxury shops like the pair that I'm wearing is Y3 Yohji Yamamoto, which would be considered a luxury brand. And so companies like Balenciaga, Gucci, these shoes now, their retail price are like the same as the resale prices for like a pair of Nikes that would have retailed at maybe like $160 for like a pair of Jordans like we have here. But now you would have to pay $600 to get that same pair. But so it's like, well, do I want to spend $600 on that Jordan, or could I spend $600 on this Gucci low top?
But because at the end of the day, these are not, you made a good point. These are still basketball kicks. Those you're not going to run a marathon in those.
Absolutely not. These are made for casual wear. There is no performance related to this whatsoever.
Right. So I think the good news is if money's burning a hole in your pocket, there's something out there for you. But if you just want to buy a pair of sneakers because you want to play ball or whatever,
I like these.
You can get a good. These are really nice. I got to thank Chloe for. I know. Are you petting my feet?
I'm petting your feet because they're furry.
Nice.
Chad, thank you very much, brother. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me.